So a musical treat for you. One and done, because of the new study is right. That's how many times we're told the president met one-on-one with his Health and Human Services Secretary, Kathleen Sebelius, since the healthcare law passed more than 3 years ago. Now, that's according to a Government Accountability Institute, which tracked the official White House calendar. Now, we should stress here that that doesn't necessarily mean that was the only time the president maybe met with Kathleen Sebelius. It's possible that he just called her up on the phone and said, come on over. I mean, that wouldn't pop up on a calendar. Pat Caddell knows of these things, of course, having worked for Jimmy Carter. But what do you make of it?
Well, there's even more news, apparently, according to the Government Accountability Institute. I've talked to them, and GAI is breaking two stories. One is that the president met with his Secretary of the Navy. That's not Secretary of Defense, but Secretary of the Navy down below. Maybe twice as much as she met with Sebelius, met with him, had two private meetings. But more importantly, since October 1st, as far as they can determine so far, after the rollout, the disaster, you know how many meetings the president has had with Sebelius about the crisis in healthcare? Zero.
How do we know that? Let me ask you, give me the White House calendar etiquette here. Having worked with Jimmy Carter, the president could always call her up. That wouldn't be on the official calendar for the moment.
Actually, the logs of calls are available, as well as...
Was that part of this?
No, this was, I think, just whether you saw. But if you're the president and you've got a crisis, let me just put it with Jimmy. I've sat there. You're in crisis. You have a mess. Somebody is responsible in the cabinet. You know what? They get their rear ends over in the White House in the Oval Office, and the president says, "What's going on? What's happening?" Or groups of people. But I mean, the person in charge. But this is. But don't be surprised. This is reflective.
Well, but I think you're being a little unfair here. Now, it could be.
Sure
Here's the secretary saying, "No, today you're pardoning a turkey, and no, it's not on your schedule." No,
it's on your schedule. No, if it's not on your schedule, it's still in the log. Then the logs are true. This is a transparent White House, Neil. You don't see.
Well, how often did Jimmy Carter call you in without you officially being on the calendar?
I wasn't part of the government.
I understand that. But I mean,
anytime I was, yes, he did, and anytime, or I just showed up.
But you didn't show up on that calendar.
I did. Yes, I did.
Oh, you did.
Oh, it gets registered if you go in to see the president.
After the fact, they put it in after the fact.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, they have to have a record.
Of course. I'm not used to these intersegments.
By the way, I bet you all the times I went into the residence are registered.
Well, I'm just asking. But
I'm not saying.
I'm kidding. No. So when you look at this and you see this and say whether it was on the calendar or not, the fact that we have very few official calendar appointments down to one, then that's telling you what?
It tells me that the president is entirely, let's go to the heart of the matter. It's like the movie Being There, Peter Sellers, Chauncey Gardner. I mean, he's just never engaged. This president's not engaged. He's not there meeting. It's not hands-on. We've seen this before, but this is the most
Well, maybe he was trusting his lieutenants to be on top of this and handle this. Although we had former Senator Ben Nelson here yesterday who said that early on, they were kind of warning him, all this stuff you're saying, Mr. President, about, if you want health care. Now, that's after the fact that they were sending a message, don't keep saying that. That's what he said, and he didn't know whether that was directly conveyed to the White House.
Well, the problem here is the White House has been on the president's mission. He wanted the bill passed. He really doesn't care what happens. Now it's not going so well. But let me just tell you, it's his inexperience in handling crisis. You don't call up people and have them come in the Oval Office. I don't care. She should have been there every week.
By the way, a phone thing would also be...
The phone thing...
A phone would be there. If I call you, Furious, that's going to show up.
Phone records are there, too. But the fact is the president would want to meet with you. The president would want to look you in the eye and say, what are you doing? What's wrong? Bring your people over. I'm getting killed by this. The president is strangely disengaged, not only on this, we've seen it on other issues. And suddenly you get back to my point about Chauncey Gardner. Well, wait a minute. Maybe this is a disengaged president whose interest is, I will give a speech, that will work. This is a president who rates his rhetoric as being persuasive beyond all belief. As there have been recent stories, and this has been going on for several years. He believes that his mission is to go out. If I say it, it's like the audience they had yesterday with the young people, the ones they wouldn't tell you who they were, standing behind them, who've all benefited from Obamacare. Well, no, we're not going to tell you this. This is all about props and talk, and here is the thrust of what I'm concerned about. That the country is the defenders and the president's attitude, which is we know better than you do. We are better than you, first of all. We know better than you. You can't be trusted to handle this. And by the way, we're serving a larger good. And this is Dr. Emanuel's point. We have a right to lie to you for that reason.
All right. I think you're just being a hater, not a lover.
I'm not a hater.
Okay. Pat Caddell, thank you very. I'm a liberal. All right, now to Ed Henry at the White House and what it's saying about all of this. Edward.
Good to see you, Neil. You know, Jay Carney was not asked about this specifically at the briefing, but I can tell you that they previously talked about how Secretary Sebelius has been at the White House many times, group meetings, whether it's cabinet meetings, whether there's the president with his chief of staff and Kathleen Sebelius. Obviously, they're going to get more scrutiny in the days ahead about how closely she has been working with the president before this crisis, but also, as you were just discussing, how they try to dig out of it. And interesting that as they try to dig out of it, one thing they've been doing is trying to turn the page on the president making that promise 3 years ago and beyond about how if you like your plan, you'll get to keep it. They don't want to talk about that anymore because obviously the president was battered over that. So interesting that in the last couple of days back home in Nevada, Senator Harry Reid, the majority leader, one of the president's staunchest allies, of course, decided to re-engage in that debate and told a local TV station there that the president told the truth about that all along. That has obviously raised some skepticism among Republicans, and I asked Jay Carney about that a little while ago. Take a listen.
Do you agree with Senator Reid? Is that still true, that if you have a plan that you like, the insurance you like, you can keep it?
Ed, I think the president has addressed this in detail, not just in answering questions, but also in making a policy change to address the problem that has arisen because of cancellation. So I think he acknowledged that this created problems that need to be addressed.
Now, someone who's gotten a new plan and does not like it is the Speaker of the House, John Boehner. Unlike some other lawmakers and staffers on the Hill who do not want to sign up through the D.C. exchange, Boehner says he and his wife up on his own. And here's what he here's what he says came out of it. Take a listen.
My health insurance premiums are going to double. My copays and deductibles triple under Obamacare. I'm thrilled to death, as you can tell.
Thrilled to death. You can see a little sarcasm there from the Speaker of the House. Jay Carney, by the way, has previously indicated that the president is likely to sign up as well, Neil.
All right. Thank you very much, Ed Henry at the White House.